I'm loving Richard Hart. I'm loving everything that he's tweeting, everything that he's posting. I'm loving seeing people hating the marketing.
Yes.
I'm loving seeing people saying it's a scam. It's perfect. It's
It's
literally
perfect.
perfect. You can
Yeah.
see people are talking about Pulsechain and Hex. People are starting to see it, right? It's all part of the plan. Man, guys.
Well, they're going to be in every community.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
okay. That's okay. You just think that, if you've been some of these people they just don't either know marketing or how stuff works or psychology, or they just don't know Richard. I don't know what it is. But you want to know what? I don't see any other blockchains doing anything, let
right.
alone something
Let alone direct
to
mail.
bring in new users to
Huh.
their chain or to their. I don't see any giving away free products.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
It's
No.
a scam. It's a scam.
You see, Richard Hart stepped out of the digital realm. Like all of the marketing for crypto, as far as I'm aware, let me just say like 99% of it probably happens online. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the platforms, you know. Well, Richard Hart forsook that for a little bit. He didn't forsake it, but he added direct mail, which is physical, tangible, has to be delivered by a mail person to a mailbox, you know, and somebody has to actually tear it open and pull out the device. It's so contrary to, you know, the standard crypto way of marketing where it's all digital. How many clicks can I get? You know, how come I didn't get 1,000 impressions on this post or whatever? It's so different. I love it, man.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Immediately within the first 4 days, um, you already have activity. You already have people talking. You already have posts. You have people sharing. You have people tweeting. You have people on Reddit. You have people, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. But you're talking about the first week, it's already happening. And this sucker's
Yeah.
going into
Mhm.
2026.
Yeah. I feel like we turned a corner yesterday. That with that lady's just that one lady's post. And I know it wasn't all about her post, but it has something to do with that post.
So, guys, is Hex up? What is Hex up right now on the 24-hour?
It is up 15%.
It's up 15%.
Be interested just to get Mando's side of what he kind of thinks about that tweet from Richard yesterday, which was a super awesome tweet, super bullish,
Yeah.
super powerful. And also just the fact that, everyone was obsessing so much about like this tangible, like old school marketing campaign of direct mail. But it's funny about like where we are in society is direct mail, when it has an impact, just makes its way to social media. And you're not even doing like a social media campaign. It's like the direct user posting it, which is, I believe that was the goal Richard had. If they're posting, wow, I got this cool gadget, or what we've seen more recently is, this is a scam, I think, what did I just get? But it's landing in Reddit forums that usually they wouldn't let Pulsechain or Hex exist because they like censor that stuff. But we have all these like users that aren't actually Pulsechain people now talking about Pulsechain and getting Pulsechain in front of a whole new group of eyeballs without them even like trying to do so. So I don't know. I just think that's pretty cool how that's playing out. It seems definitely planned, especially alongside Richard's tweet yesterday of just saying like, hey, they yelled scam all the way up to a 10,000x for Hex. How do you think it's going to happen again? Well, most likely people are, who knows if it's 10,000x, but as price increases, people are going to keep getting these and getting these. And it's not going to be surprising to me if people keep posting, is this a scam? It's not even people calling it a scam, more people questioning, like, what did I just receive? This is odd. I've never received something like this before in the mail. And them just asking on Reddit, or them asking on Twitter, or them asking on Instagram, or them asking on TikTok. And when people look it up, just like the guy that I was talking about yesterday when I was reading Reddit, he knew of Hex and Pulsechain. It sparked he wasn't a Pulsechain or Hex person, but he recognized it, and it pushed him that next step further to actually start looking into it a lot more, looking at the chart, seeing the opportunity that it's super cheap, and also recognizing that, wow, there's a massive marketing campaign of millions of devices about to go out, and I'm actually finding out about this very early. There's opportunity there, right? You don't have to be a diehard Hexakin or Pulsechain to know that there's opportunity getting into a product before the massive marketing campaign starts.
Well, I think that on crypto Twitter especially, you have a lot of people that have never really made any money. You have a lot of people that have never run companies. They've never been part of corporate structured marketing campaigns. They don't have a clue about KPIs or conversion rates. They don't know what it means to put something in front of people, um, whether it be good, bad, or ugly. You have to cultivate brand recognition. A scam only becomes a scam if it actually scams someone. So you can call something a scam, but that doesn't mean it's a scam. And I don't blame people for getting on and asking, "Hey, is this a scam?" That's kind of part of the point from one vantage point. I don't blame people for having OPSEC and asking, "Hey, are you guys seeing this? Is this a scam?" They're protecting themselves. This is what we want people to do. But in doing that, they're mass marketing the product. And this is the genius behind Richard Hart. He knows this. He understands the power of talking, of people talking, right? When you get people talking, more people talk. When you get people asking, more people ask. When you get people seeing, more people see. And it all snowballs on itself from one category into the next category into the next category of marketing. And you know, this is part of professional marketing. And if you go back even prior to the rollout and you go back and you read his tweets, it's indicative of a very well thought out marketing strategy, and it's not going to be the only part of the strategy. But you can see that right away, even it's hitting things and tapping certain categories and certain social media websites that you wouldn't have even thought would even have happened already in the first 3 days, right? So that's what I really want people to pick up on is you didn't think at all that you would already start to see this stuff. You didn't think you'd have large accounts tweeting it out or asking questions about it or it showing up in Reddit. It's already creating conversation and discussion, let alone, is it a scam? Is it not a scam? What is this? Why are we receiving this? And it's all happening at the same time where Richard is very active about speaking about it. And so it's just another genius way of marketing. I will say this again, I don't see any other blockchains actively marketing their thing to any new users. So when I see people that are on X and I'm looking at their accounts, if they're talking negatively, I'm kind of like going through and looking at what they're into, and I don't see their thing marketing to millions and millions of target market new customers. I don't see that. To me, as a Pulsechain ecosystem investor, I'm very happy to see massive marketing campaigns beginning in the middle of a bull run for my product. That's something that I'm very happy about. It amazes me, though, that a lot of people, they just instantly go negative or critique, that they just negatively critique something. It's just indicative of just stupidity and just immaturity or whatever. But this is it. I mean, this is the beginning of a massive marketing campaign for our blockchain, and I think it's a great way to put something in the hands of customers and potential customers just to say thank you for taking a look. Another thing is it's a legitimate nonprofit organization with the real information, with everything on the packaging. Those are real names behind those things. Generally that's not indicative of a scam when you've got the addresses and the non-for-profits posted right on the damn stamp. So it's very bullish to me, and I think that if you look on the weekly chart of Pulsechain, it bottomed out, it went up, it created a higher low, it went back up. It's now looking like on the weekly like that's the first weekly candle that's creating another higher low, and hopefully this is the beginning of an off to the races moment for the community. I think it will be. I think the bottom is in for Pulsechain without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree. It's awesome to see that, these devices are just going out now. More recently, probably, they're starting to hit doorsteps, and we're already seeing an impact via marketing, not only to the users getting the device, but also whatever outreach that individual user has via Reddit or their own Twitter, etc. And
well, if I'm on another chain right now, right, and I'm not necessarily seeing great momentum, and I start seeing, damn, Richard's straight up doing a massive marketing campaign. Look at what the founder of Pulsechain is and the community are willing to do to go out there and get their products in front of new markets across the world, because it's not just happening in the United States, it's happening in Europe and other places too. So unless you have something that's superior to that or any activity, frankly, you're thinking that's an active community. That's an active founder. That's millions and millions of dollars of marketing campaigns going out with legitimate product and a really cool idea. You can critique the shit out of something all day long, but your critique does not stop conversion rates. So it really doesn't matter, you know. So I like it. I think it's great. I think it's genius. I think it's something fun that, you know, families will like to use. I think it's perfect and correct for people to be asking, is this a scam? What is this? You know, do I if I connect it to Wi-Fi, does it instantly drain my wallet or something? You know, something like this. You know, this is what creates conversations, man.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. The one person, guy, girl, whoever it was, that responded saying they recognized the logos, you know, that they are in crypto, but they're not a Pulse chain or Hex person. But them receiving this device, them realizing that there's a massive marketing push going on, pushed them to start doing a little bit of Google searching, looking into it a little bit further, and actually now is considering putting an investment into Pulse chain, knowing that there is this active marketing push going on, right? That is actually giving them comfort in their investment, knowing that, hey, these just started going out, and there's been word that these things are going to go out for 6 months, maybe longer. And that's a pretty good place to start, even if you're not into Richard Hart, or you are, right? And you're just on other blockchains. You're looking at the blockchain you're on, you're like asking yourself, well, what are they doing to get adoption? What are they doing to succeed this bull market? What are they doing to get new users? And then you look at Pulsechain, not looking at a lot of the other cool things of Pulsechain that may or may not happen, but just the marketing pieces alone, it's somewhat a step above a lot of the other blockchains out there. Maybe not as good as maybe others, maybe not as good as what Bitcoin is maybe doing right now, but for a start, from where we are right now, huge opportunity. And they just need to be
Yeah,
reminded that we exist and we're here, and we're not going anywhere.
See that they come out of billions of market cap launch, you know, where the upside potential has already been basically pilfered, because you've got all these, you know, inside investors that have gotten in early before it's launched. That doesn't exist on Pulsechain. And Richard Hart and obviously yourself, Zen, you know, you've worked that out, that you take that supply out of circulation, you make sure liquidity pools are strong enough to where they need to be, but that won't hold price down. And because it's a low circulating supply of tokens remaining, when you get this new wave come in, and with this marketing push now from Richard Hart, and you can just see people coming across and starting to invest into it. Like, if the cores are going to go bonkers, because there's minimal left of supply of just the cores, Pulsechain, Pulsex Next.
Kuhn, it's always one of those things where, yes, if you've been here from the beginning, we've waited for so long. Like, it's been 4 years, right? It's been 4 years. But you're an older gentleman. Yeah, I mean, we're you know, I don't know how much older you are than me, but you've lived long enough to have some wisdom. And
Man,
you do understand the paradigm of time. It always seems like it's so long until it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
Everything
you look back and you're
dissolves
like,
once it
oh,
happens.
damn, that was so fast. I can't believe that. I mean, I
It
made
just
that
all
much money and I
dissolves.
only, right? It's always that perspective. It's always the doldrums when you're in it until you're not,
Yeah, couldn't have said any better, Amanda. That's
you
exactly
know?
my point.
But to your point, if you know that Richard's been bull posting, they're going to be butthurt. All the haters are going to be really butthurt. Are they going to literally sit there and watch the next 10,000x? I don't know what that means, but I know this. That's bull posting. That's bull
Totally.
posturing. That's mega posturing.
Because
Right
what's
now,
the competition, Mando? There's no competition. If someone was to tell
Yeah,
me Pulsechain and Pulsex and Hex aren't going to do the numbers that you're expecting this cycle and next cycle, you got to park your money somewhere else. There's nowhere else to park your money. There's nowhere else that's reliable enough on the mathematics that Mando's talking about, with the proven record of Richard Hart.
you know, I agree with you. When you look around, really, what else is out there? Look at the top 100 assets. Even the best assets in crypto, the top 100, there are a bunch of ships with holes in them, and they just keep temporary plugging these holes. If it's not, you know, yeah, maybe the protocol has a utility and that utility actually generates a lot of revenue, but gosh, that revenue is not even going back to the protocol. Really, a lot of the holders holding that token have no reason to hold it whatsoever. They're just hoping price goes up because other people speculate that some of that money is going to come back. Very little of that money actually goes into that protocol because that protocol has so much overhead. You know, a lot of these top 100 cryptos have so much overhead that a lot of the revenue that they generate never even gets to go to token price, let alone to the holders in some form of APY. And then the tokens that don't have overhead don't have any utility, don't have any ability to generate revenue. So they're just sitting there waiting for new users to come in and out. And then you go to like some of the blockchains, you could literally look at every blockchain that exists. Every single one has founders that sell. Gosh, we're sitting in a great spot if our founder just doesn't sell, let alone pump it. So I do think if Richard wants to, I do think some control is there. I do think some of it's on our own community to keep grinding, keep working, keep onboarding. Mathematically, we're set up so far ahead of everyone else. And that's all crypto is. It's just a big Excel spreadsheet. And you can fudge all of the equations and pick all the equations to put all of the economic energy into your favor. You do not need to let it leak out. You don't need to give it to here or give it to there. You can actually program the systems to amplify all the features that actually matter. Price appreciation, incentivizing people to hold the asset, incentivize price appreciation so you can actually use the chart to onboard new users. We haven't had any of that stuff really to date, but I think that could rapidly change to the blockchain that we're on. Actually has a better looking chart, huge marketing push, green candles, more liquidity on chain. More liquidity on chain means more buying and burning for Pulsex. Pulsex is heavily bonded to Hex. That will start dragging Hex up. I do think Hex is going to have really good price appreciation as well, just due to the lack of liquidity and the fact that the APY for staking Hex has been dropped by quite a bit. So the future supply has technically been reduced. And we just have a lot of features here on chain that have been yet to be shown to the public due to the portion of the blockchain. But with this, if this blockchain just 10x's, all of these protocols, all of these features that actually operate stronger than everything else that exists will be put front and center. They will all be making it into the top 100 of crypto. Pulsex, Hex, Pulse. I
yeah,
think Kuhn dropped down.
I think Zen too. Like people forget that in the real world, Kuhn could chime in on this, but it generally will take between 3 to 5 years for a legitimate company to begin to turn a profit. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing what you're doing, you have to be willing to kind of eat, top ramen, for a certain amount of time because it takes a while to build something, let alone in the crypto space, let alone like the minute you launch, you get basically attacked by the strongest federal government on the planet, in a very tough environment. So yeah, hindsight's always 2020. And then going back just real quick too, if you just Google or if you just use Grok and you look up legacy investments that actually there's a fee associated with them, which is generally it could be between 2 and up to 5%. You just realize that in the real world, people in crypto, they just think that they're just going to put in $5,000 and tomorrow have $50 million in the bank account. And that's just not the real world, right? You can hit big quick, but Pulsechain was never the meme coin, thing, right? Even with Hex, when you look at the chart, it was a year and a half, and that was an ERC20 token. So I think we're literally on the brink.
If you're here, you're investing, you just need to be patient and make sure you don't sell in a 2x.
That's all I'm saying. Remember that time about 6 months ago, everyone was concerned about, oh, but there's too many whales in the system and there's too many people in profit and this, that, and the other. But you know what happened over the last 3 months? The people who felt that way sold. They're out. We saw it with our own eyes. And they're going to miss the next run up, which is going to be the biggest one yet.
And we've
So
even had some of the larger holders sell some too and get out. You know, some with 1 billion, some with 500 million. The system just buys them out.
it chewed them up. It
It
actually
just
chewed them up.
buys them out, dude.
It took the percentages off the top and it just distributed it to all of us, which is amazing. I don't know. There's actually nothing in the real world that actually sort of holds a
And Kuhn
candle,
and
or not
Kuhn
many
and
things
Kuhn.
in the real world that hold a candle to it.
Over the last 30 days, it's been buying them out without the Dow even deploying the capital.
Yeah, the DAO hasn't deployed any
Between the
capital, has it?
market itself and new users coming in and
Yeah.
the buy and burn, the system has been eating these people out of their positions without the Dow.
So the DAO hasn't deployed. The killer whale hasn't deployed anything in the last 30 to 60 days. Well, not too much, has it?
No.
So that's great. That's fantastic. Look at that. How strong is this community? I don't know. You won't find this anywhere else on any other blockchain. It's just you're battling a minefield on all other blockchains just to not lose your funds.
By the way,
Yeah, that's right.
Pulsechain just reversed against PulseX. So Pulsechain PLS actually has started to make a move against Pulse in the last 3 days. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. A lot of people take into consideration Pulse X with the buy and burn, but it just broke resistance against Pulse X, and it looks like Pulse is starting to make a move against Pulse X
Oh
again
yeah,
as well.
this is Pulse against Pulsex, yeah, because it's broken
Correct.
that rising channel, and now it looks
Yeah.
like it could be flipping the other way.
So
Yeah,
And
Mando, I have a very different opinion on this than a lot of people. A lot of people think that PulseX is overly hyped because them talking about the buy and burn and stuff like that.
I don't
But
think it's overhyped at all.
but
I love it.
but that reversal, Pulse to PulseX, what I believe is going to happen is when new value starts to flow in, the new value always taps Pulse first. And when Pulse increases, it's going to automatically increase PulseX the same way it works with PTGC and UFO and Hex. And then whatever trickles down off of Pulse to the sub assets like PulseX. So you have to remember PulseX is working off of reflexivity just like every other asset. So I really don't think if we have a serious run here on Pulsechain, I do not think that ratio is going to flip back like most people are calling out right now. A lot of people think that it's going to flip into positive pulse X ratio, pulse X going down. If we see a real inflow of value coming into Pulsechain right now, I do not think that's the case. I think we're going to have a heavier increase on Pulse X just due to how reflexivity and the X multiplier works.
but Zen, the difference we're talking about, it might be, in terms of percentages, it might actually, well, it could be a lot, but I'm thinking it could be, minuscule. That everything on the chain really starts moving up quite aggressively, and yeah, maybe PulseX outperforms Pulse, or maybe Pulse outperforms PulseX, but I've got a feeling that they're both going to do so extremely well over the next period that it's not even gonna be that much of a difference for a point of discussion.
Banana, what you were talking about is, hey, if this, or maybe it was Mando, you're saying like if this asset, if Pulsechain's successful, if this asset does what we believe it's going to do, you could be sitting on a protocol that, like you said, you can shave off of it technically every single week and do whatever you want and still be good and so on and so forth, right? Like people who got into Ethereum, people who got into Bitcoin, they pretty much, if as long as they held the majority of their bag long enough for it to appreciate, they're doing very well for themselves, and a lot of them are not having to work because the rest of the world wants that asset. They realized it was a large store of value. Mechanically, Pulsechain has proven itself. I think if the
Without
demand comes
question.
in, yeah, and mathematically too, like you can run the numbers economically, and it makes sense. Like I think that's clear as day. Right now, it's just missing the demand. If Richard has something or does something like this marketing campaign along with some other stuff that actually gets it the standard demand of a standard blockchain, I would 100% agree. If we get the adoption, the natural adoption, right? Not just pump of green candles, but you can actually see that we're getting real adoption. People are talking about us in mainstream, and you can actually see the mainstream adoption. Mathematically, I see no reason why anyone wouldn't front ran a natural pullback of a bear market. Mathematically, it's stronger than ETH, it's stronger than Bitcoin. I'm not even talking about BTTC and UFO, I'm talking about Richard's tickers, Pulse and Pulsex. Everything is in your favor that you want in a financial product. He's improved on what has already been done.
Let's be real, dude. Pulsechain ain't going nowhere, bro. Let's be real.
Well, Vitalik talks about how Ethereum's supposed to last longer than Vitalik. So that means Pulsechain's supposed to last longer than Vitalik.
And Zen and Mando, with the fact that Hex on the last cycle ran up those numbers and got those investors in and people in to purchase it on the back of majority of crypto talking about the founder being a complete scammer. But now we're in a situation where that is proving everyone wrong. He's won the SEC. All of that is now going to shift in this next push up and in the next cycle and bear market and everything else. You're not going to see everyone steering away from it because it's a scam. You're actually going to see the shift move the other direction. So you'll probably even get in more investors coming into it.
Yeah, if he does it again, Kuhn, I don't think anyone can call him a scammer.
It's already starting, Zen.
If he does it again, there's still the people saying like, "Oh, he just did that to lure people in." If he does it again, you cannot say that.
No, you can't even say it now.
1,000%,
about
Kuhn.
it already.
If Richard, if Hex, dude, if Hex starts to take off and goes up to 20, 30 cents, bro, the whole industry is going to be like, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly, Mando. And you know what the crazy thing is? That we, the people in this space, are the early investors into the most decentralized blockchain possible. And you're in a sub community that's, I personally think, the strongest I've ever seen in crypto and in the real world. What else?
That's without a doubt. That's undisputed, man.